We have any questions? You guys got any questions? Yes.
Okay. You talked a little bit about memory loss, and you said you turn around short-term memory loss all the time.
Yep.
What is it that you do?
I won't say 100%, but I'd probably say 80 to 90% of the time we get people with short-term memory problems to turn around.
Okay. What is it that you do? What's your protocol?
Well, once again, our protocol is like this. We do a subjective Q&A. We do a drug history. We do a lifestyle and diet exercise analysis. We look at electrodermal screening, resting metabolic rate, and BMI calculation. We look at where the person's disruption is. Now, if I wanted to give you the obvious things that you might want to look at, get their stress levels down. So you would use something that would bring down cortisol. If they have a low DHEA level, you want to get it up to normal. Now, there are some obvious things for the brain that are good. Ginkgo, obviously, not for the most obvious, it improves circulation and delivers oxygen, but ginkgo also rehabilitates serotonin and dopamine receptors. And ginkgo also helps with delivery of glucose to brain cells. It's not just oxygen, it's glucose as well. So ginkgo is important. I use N-acetylcarnitine. I use huperzine. I use alpha-GPC. So alpha-GPC is a deacetylated lecithin. It was actually a drug in Germany, and it's a nutraceutical here. So I'll do things that will rehabilitate glucose and oxygen utilization, get their adrenals firing. I'm a big fan of adrenal extracts too. Get their adrenals rehabilitated. Short-term memory comes back. Why? I'm getting oxygen to the brain. Glucose regulation's improving. My cortisol's going down. My DHEA's going up. My hippocampus isn't under duress anymore. Now I can remember. Adrenal support, both for energy, and then adrenal support to suppress if it's excessive cortisol. Brain-specific nutrients like essential fatty acids, ginkgo, N-acetyl-L-carnitine, huperzine. I mean, any of the agents for the brain are great. Alpha-GPC is great. It increases acetylcholine molecules. So, yep.
How would you explain someone testing positive for all the symptoms of metabolic syndrome, but then having a sedimentation rate test done and it comes back normal?
Well, I mean, a sed rate wouldn't necessarily. All a sed rate means is that they really have triggered a high inflammatory response. So, I mean, remember how people were walking towards their diagnosis? So you could be insulin resistant. You could have a little bit of high blood pressure, but you're not showing full-scale clinical inflammatory response in your blood yet. Now, you might look at TNF-alpha or interleukin-6 on them and see if that's triggered, or look at their fibrinogen levels or their uric acid levels. Those are other signs, right? If your uric acid levels are high, you know you're in an inflammatory situation, have oxidative stress. If your fibrinogen levels are high, you know you've got excessive stickiness in your platelets. So those are other things that you might want to look at to kind of ascertain, am I moving towards an inflammatory state or not? Not just, looking at a sed rate or, looking at CRPs or looking at homocysteine. Those are obviously some keynotes, but they're not necessarily the only things you look to. Okay?
I wanted to ask you a question about thyroid. In taking thyroid replacement, for instance, Cytomel,
right?
Would you recommend taking 7-keto with that at the same time?
So the question was, would you take 7-keto DHEA with Cytomel? My answer to that, Cytomel is a synthetic T3. And there's a protocol right now that a lot of docs use called Wilson's protocol, where they use T3 and they keep dosing you up on it until it kind of shuts down your thyroid receptors and they kind of reactivate. You get to a steady state dose of T3 basically. The only reason I would use T3 is that if I wasn't seeing a clinically, or if I'd used 7-keto DHEA, would be if I wasn't seeing a clinically relevant dose of T3 in the blood. But if you're using Cytomel and you're taking it, the blood level is going to go up. So it wouldn't be likely that I would recommend that. I mean, if I saw a high T4, low T3, I would use 7-keto DHEA. If I saw a low T4, low T3, I would consider using it. But if Cytomel is going to artificially induce it.
What's the dosage for iodine for low thyroid function? What would you recommend?
Well, that's so controversial right now because you've got a lot of people. The question was, what is your recommendation for iodine dosing for low thyroid function? And you will see everything from, oh, just take 150 mics a day and take some kelp, to take 50 milligrams of potassium iodide or Lugol solution a day. The problem you get into when you do high-dose iodine and you don't detoxify a person is that you can liberate bromine, chlorine, or fluorine from their receptor sites because iodine will displace those halogens. That's not so good for like auto-intoxication, especially for the brain and fluoride, because you can get silica fluorates and then aluminum silica fluorates that can form. And so you've got to be careful about that whole thing of the high-dose iodine. It's very trendy right now. People are doing that. I personally go in between. I think that if you look at the Japanese, they take in about 12.5 milligrams of iodine a day in their population. They have a very low rate of obesity, but they also take in lots of vegetables to go with it. They counterbalance their diet quite well. So, I mean, I'll go anywhere from 150 mics up to a couple milligrams a day. But I'll be detoxifying them at the same time because I believe that there is some issues with bromination, fluoridation, and chlorination.
You mentioned your patient that had a magnesium deficiency. What was your protocol in kind of bringing his levels back up?
Gave it to him until he had diarrhea. That was it. No, it wasn't it. Come on. It's late, guys. It's not that late. I'll start people at about 800 to 1,000 milligrams in divided doses a day if I think they have got a very acute magnesium deficiency in divided doses. And if they get a loose stool, then I'll back them back. But I mean, I've had people up to 2 to 3 grams of magnesium a day, and they're still cramping. It eventually requits over 6 to 8 weeks. But their magnesium stores, I mean, I've had people where we do a toxic metal urine challenge on them, they're in the first percentile. I mean, 99% of other people have better magnesium than these people. So I mean, that's why you don't look unless you've got a renal patient where, like, a lot of times I'll use a mag potassium or I'll use mag malate. I like mag malate a lot because I download lactate out of the cell. Right, you're going to burn lactic acid better. But you can't use that in people that have IBS or they have a very, their stomachs are gentle. Mag malate will irritate that. So then you go to another form of magnesium. And I'll do it to bowel tolerance, literally, till they just get a loose stool. I don't want them getting diarrhea, but, a loose stool's okay. And then I'll usually back them back one pill and then keep them on it. And I mean, it's funny. I mean, when I think of the things that we've done in practice over the last 25 years, I replete people's magnesium, I straighten their adrenals out, I get their thyroid working, I clean up their guts so they're not gassy, bloated, or have chronic mucus, diarrhea, and constipation, and I get their moods to come up and get them to sleep a little better. Oh boy, right? But you know what? Those are the key things that over time disrupt everybody's, their health. That's what disrupts their health. My mineral status is poor, my endocrine system is going down, my neuroendocrine immune system linkage is being disrupted. Remember I said it like the autistic kid, it's their mercury. No, it's not their mercury, it's their neurotransmitters. It's you hear about these terms like, psychoneuroimmunology. Well, it's like psychoneuroimmunolivero, kidney-o, toe-o, gallbladder-ology, right? It's all our body. Got to remember that. It's whole body metabolism, and the dynamics of it can't be underscored. That you have to leave no stone uncovered, and you'll end up getting a lot of people well.
SAMe versus 5-HTP. You like SAMe. Is there a reason for depression?
I love 5-HTP too.
I mean, you could use either or.
I give people both.
Both?
What I'll do is, depending on what we're dealing with, I'll give them 100 to 200 milligrams of SAMe at bedtime if they're having trouble sleeping or if they've got chronic night cravings, or they're chronically depressed. I'll give them 100 to 200 milligrams at bedtime and then 50 milligram pulse doses during the day just to keep them making a little serotonin during the day, as I have them on theanine and Relora, keeping their stress level dampened so the serotonin they make doesn't get burned off. I mean, I'm telling you, the people that I've got, I mean, people are fried. They are just absolutely, their neurologic system is just pushed to the limit with low serotonin, dopamine not functioning, making too much phenylethylamine, norepinephrine, too much epinephrine, glutamate too high, way too much histamine in their brain. I mean, so you've got to dampen all day long. And then you have to requit, build back. I mean, and I know people that I've had people that haven't slept in 20 years, and we straighten their chemistry out, and they're sleeping in a week. I mean, they have not been sleeping. Why? Because we're looking at their stress chemistry. We worked on their sleep. What sleeping pills? When do you take a sleeping pill? When do you take a sleeping pill? Doctor prescribes a sleeping pill. When do you take it? At night. You know what? No, yeah, duh. But you know what? You know what? Yeah, it's a trick question. I want you guys to do something wrong. You know when I fix sleep? During the day. I fix sleep by fixing people's stress response all day long. And I make their adrenals resilient, get their serotonin to balance, get them making melatonin again, get their phenylethylamine down, make them think instead of a white tiger chasing them, it's Puss in Boots. Right? So, all right, I got to get out of here.
Round
right?
of applause for Dr. Lavelle.